After 12 years of being on TV, The Walking Dead is nearly finished with its final season. And at the time of recording, 6 out of the final 8 episodes have now been released. So be warned, we will be talking about some spoilers in this video. The first 2 episodes of the final batch of 8 I thought were pretty promising because they moved quite quickly, they're very action heavy as well, but it did feel like it was the start of the end of these ones. And the big highlight from these episodes was the death of Sebastian, which was a very satisfying death, no doubt about that, as he wasn't one of the most likable characters on the show.
He doesn't like you.
Sorry.
I don't like you either.
Following this, we had episode 19 titled Variant, which really delved into the aftermath and the impact of Sebastian's death, and we also saw a variant of the walkers with a walker picking up a rock. So it seems after all these years of eating brains, the walkers are now getting minds of their own. And I think this has been a much needed development for the walkers because, in recent years, they've just sort of been like whack-a-mole for the survivors, they've just sort of been there as a chore to do, but now they offer a new threat. And when you think about it, that was one of the strengths of the Whisperer arc, for example, because you weren't sure what was a walker or what was a Whisperer. So you had that feeling of unknowing when you see the survivors fighting in the woods or fighting a big horde of zombies. The next episode, episode 20, is quite a slow one. We see Yumiko decide to go against Pamela and instead represent Eugene in the court case, while at the same time we have Carol and Daryl with Hornsby trying to track down where the others have been sent to. And towards the end of the episode we see the death of Lance Hornsby. And I actually really liked Lance Hornsby as a character. I thought he was great in that mid portion of the season as that political type villain, and I thought when he flipped the coin with Oceanside, that was quite a good cliffhanger, but we don't really know what happened there yet, but I assume we'll find out by the end of the season. In episode 21 we continue to follow Daryl and Carol as they try and track down the group, but they're also joined by Maggie, Rosita, Gabriel as well. But I thought the best parts of this episode were at the work camp where we see Negan and Ezekiel interact because since All Out War we hadn't really had a chance to see how their relationship is and where they stand with each other. At the end of the episode they arrive at Outpost 22, which we discovered to be Alexandria. Episode 22 is a bit more of the same thing with Negan and Ezekiel still not being the best of friends, but this episode is a bit more Negan focused, which is always a good thing.
Do you care to pay your respects?
Holy crap! You are creepy as shit, sneaking up on me wearing that collar with that freaky ass smile.
And later on we see that Negan has agreed to deal with the warden that they can kill him as long as they let the others survive. And the scene was reminiscent of Negan's introduction where we had them all on their knees. And with the firing squad there and Ezekiel leading the group to stand in the way, it was quite an intense scene. I was expecting at least one death here. I really thought we would get a death even if it is a character of not so much significance. But would you believe it, Daryl saves the day once again. I don't know how many times he's done that.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Luckily one of the Commonwealth soldiers turns pretty quickly so we can get a cool scene with Rosita. And with Rosita, I think she might be one who gets given that last big death. Well, she's definitely one of 3 people I think they might go for, with the other 2 being Father Gabriel and the other one being Eugene. And talking about Eugene, we do get to see his court case and he provides a pretty decent speech. He unsurprisingly gets the verdict of guilty, but at the end of the episode we see that Mercer has now changed sides, he is now one of us, and he wants to fuck shit up. And just on that, I think it's quite funny because at the time of the Eeny Meeny Miny Mo scene, there was a whole debate about whether Negan should be saying the F word or not, and now, I think they've thrown it around in this season about 3 or 4 times. There was also that side story in this episode with Aaron and Jerry and that group going to Oceanside, but they run into Luke and his girlfriend and they basically say you might want to turn around. The group then have to go full Whisperer mode as there's a group of Commonwealth soldiers nearby. And while they're walking, we see one of those new variant walkers drop down and pick up a knife, and I think they're going to have to, of course, pay that off. How they do this? Well, I think they might actually use this as the way to kill Pamela. But in these final 2 episodes, I do expect to see Pamela get somebody killed, and I think she'll die herself as well. Whether a variant walker kills one of those 2 or another character, we'll have to wait and see. So with 3/4 of these final 8 episodes now released, I gotta say I'm a bit disappointed. I really did think we might get some more death in these final episodes. Like, I'm not expecting them to kill the whole roster of characters because the show's ending, but with Hornsby dying and Sebastian dying on that side, nothing's really happened on the Survivor side, and that really could have helped raise the stakes a bit if that did happen. Like we've seen in the past how deaths of survivors can really impact the story, like with Negan killing Glenn and Abraham, you weren't sure what he was going to do next sort of thing, so it has that tension there. And when you look back on past villains, those deaths really do stand out. Like with the Governor, you think of Herschel. With Gareth, you think of Bob being eaten. With Alpha, you're thinking of the Pike scene. I expect Pamela will get a moment like this, but I think with Hornsby and Sebastian and the Warden, at least one of them should have had a moment themselves as well. And this issue has even more significance because we know about the spin-offs which are coming out afterwards with Negan, Maggie and Daryl. We know they're all going to be safe. And apart from Carol and maybe a handful of other characters, there's not that many which you're really going to care deeply about if they do die. And I think the issue with that is that they've got a lot of relationships in the show now, but it's all a little bit too late and it's also all a bit spread too thin. And this whole lack of death issue even goes back to the end of season 10 where you thought Beta might kill someone like Gabriel for example, but everyone was safe again. I think one of the key reasons behind this is because they want the Walking Dead universe to go on for many years. And if they want this to happen, they have to have characters alive to make all these shows. And with that in mind, I'm worried that the finale of the whole series will be a bit disappointing because I think it might be used more as a startup for the spin-offs, less so than an end to the overall show. In the last 6 episodes, the episode has begun with Judith speaking over it, and I think we will see that scene continue on in the finale. Maybe with Rick involved as well, we'll have to wait and see, but I think Rick will be there in some form. So obviously the Daryl show and the Negan and Maggie show will be set in the future, but I think the Rick and Michonne one might be set during the time they left the main show. With them originally thinking of doing 3 Rick films, I could see this story going on for quite a long while yet, so with the main show ending, it's like the tree stopping, but the branches continue. So yeah, hopefully we get a great final 2 episodes, and I think, you know, if you're up to date with The Walking Dead by this point, you're definitely a fan of the show, so we can all hope we do get a satisfying conclusion. But what are your thoughts on these final episodes so far? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're looking for something else to watch on screen right now, is our review for Tales of The Walking Dead.